In 1868, wealthy banker David B. Moses acquired 62 acres of land in suburban New York and built a residence out of white marble, which was quarried by the inmates at Sing Sing Prison. In the 1920s, the estate was purchased by Dr. Bernard Gluick Sr., and a private psychiatric hospital was officially established on the property. After taking control of the facility in the 1980s, the current administration narrowed its admissions exclusively to children and adolescents. These patients were primarily from low-income families and foster care. In its most recent year, the hospital had a total of 549 admissions. At this facility, and others like it, extreme methods of treatment were often used to cure mental illness and addiction. Unfortunately, the effects were unpredictable. Practices that were state-of-the-art in their time are considered barbaric by today's standards.
In the 1920s, through 1950s, even up to the 1960s, all it took was one individual, one psychiatrist, to determine that an individual needed to be committed to a psychiatric facility, and all the rights were taken away. They could be kept locked up indefinitely with no ability to contact anyone from the outside until a psychiatrist, a single individual, said they were now well enough to leave. When you are here, you no longer have the freedoms that others would enjoy.
In 1937, the hospital became the first on this continent to use insulin coma therapy, or shock therapy. With this form of treatment, patients were injected with large doses of insulin, inducing daily comas over a matter of weeks. Another method of dealing with the symptoms was isolation in a room that was nicknamed the hellhole.
And it was described to me as a concrete bunker where individuals were placed basically to detox. In the 1960s, a new revolutionary treatment came out, and that was electroshock therapy. And the idea behind that was basically to throw a jolt of electricity through one's head, through their temples. They would put it on and raise the amount of voltage. And this is certainly something that went on here and all other psychiatric hospitals at the time. So you have to ask, how many times can you fry one's brain?
As recently as April of 2012, New York State stepped in and closed the hospital. While admissions and treatments have ceased, the administration continues to fight to reopen the facility. In an effort to prevent vandalism on the grounds, the director decided to move onto the property with his family.
When I moved in here, I didn't expect things like this to happen. And they're unexplained, and that's all I can say.
When the hospital closed down and my parents decided that we should move in, I think my friends definitely thought that it was a crazy thing for me to do. And for a while, I couldn't get anyone over here. And when they did, they wouldn't come at night.
The very first issue after we had moved in was I began initially to hear, no one else did, furniture moving on the upper floors.
And we have not been able to figure out what that is. It clearly sounds like someone dragging furniture across the floor.
The really odd thing about hearing furniture moving upstairs, when I know there's no one upstairs, is that all the furniture is bolted down. Again, psychiatric hospital. So there is no furniture to push around or move around, and yet you would hear a distinct sound as though somebody's dragging furniture from one end of the room to the other.
While the family does what they can to ensure a peaceful night's sleep, certain factors remain out of their control.
I had an issue one day when we were doing a lot of cleaning. And, I joked with my wife that, geez, we're going to need a shower after this, worked up a good sweat. And I came down into our lobby area, and in the lobby area are several leather chairs.
There's about maybe 12 or 15 leather chairs throughout the lobby.
And right in the very center, I noticed the one leather chair was glistening with water.
It was clearly wet, and the chairs next to it were not wet. It was only on the back of the chair and on the seat of the chair, like someone who sat in it who was wet.
There was no leaks in the ceiling. There was no way for water to get to it from the outside, nor was it raining. Just could not explain it.
And there was just no reason for that chair to be wet. Don't know why.
After months of strange happenings, the family experienced what they considered to be the most inexplicable disturbance to date.
One evening we were having dinner in the dining room, and I was admiring the beautiful view of the Hudson River. The dining room's on the second level, and there's glass windows all the way around it. And I noticed there was some paint dripped on the outside of the window, and I remarked to my husband, what a shame that the best window that was facing the Hudson River with the best view had a little bit of brown paint on the outside of the window. And I asked if we could just replace the window. And that's when he explained to me that hospitals, and especially psychiatric hospitals, have special glass that would never break or couldn't shatter or, be able to be broken. So I said, well, I guess that's that. I guess we have to have the window the way it is. And we went to bed. And the next morning, we got our coffee and walked into the dining room, and we were shocked to see the window completely shattered it looked like something hit it in the center, and it just spider webbed all the way out the entire window, and it's a big window. And just the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and we could not figure out how it could possibly have broken, and we were sure someone must have hit it with a bullet from the outside. And we called the glass company that takes care of all the windows in the hospital, and the man came, and he walked all around the window, and he said, wow, he said, I've never seen that before. And my husband said, well, obviously someone shot a bullet at it, or, he thought maybe a bird hit it or something. And the glass man said, absolutely not. He said, I don't think you understand what's happened here. He said, that window's not broken from the outside. He said, it's a double pane window, and the double pane window and the outside pane is fine. He said, that was broken from the inside. And then the hair on my neck really stood up, because we were sleeping right in the room next to the dining room all night long. And at some point through the night, that window broke and shattered.
While most might be deterred by the mysterious occurrences in the hospital, the family has no plans to relocate. The director and his family remain hopeful that the facility can someday reopen and resume treatment and care for those in need. Until then, the family must cope with the possibility that they might not be alone.
It's difficult to imagine that they're actual hauntings, but at the same time I have no other explanations for what goes on or what I have seen.
Most of the time we can't even come up with an explanation, and so we just go, that's that. To our friends, that's all.